From the East Coast to the West Coast, we are everywhere true crime is. We are asking for the public's help. We are searching in the woods. We are doing what it takes here on the Bullhorn Betty channels to find answers to the most alarming cases we have been watching on the news. I can tell you personally that I have traveled this entire country seeking these answers and bringing that content right here to you here on the Bullhorn Betty channels and Bullhorn Betty Crime Stories. We are happy with the work that we've done. We brought many answers to the public, and we have defied mainstream media in our pursuit of the truth in these cases. We will continue to work, we will continue to fight for these victims, and we will continue to tell their stories here on my channels. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty brand of channels and the Coffee Club. Thank you for your love, thank you for your support, and more importantly, thank you for allowing me to bring these victims' stories to each and every one of you advocating for each of these victims. God bless you. God bless America, and more importantly, God bless our victims. Well, good morning, my beautiful people of TikTok. I am back, Bullhorn Betty. I cover true crime here on social media. And boots on the ground around the country in these cases. I have a very active puppy this morning, so please bear with me as I get through this live broadcast with a dog that wants to obviously play this morning. Say good morning, Delilah. She is happy and energized. Yay! Yay! Hi, boo-boo. So Sebastian Rogers has been missing since February 26, 2024, and we've been heavily advocating about his story and about his father, which we here on the Bullhorn Betty channels believe has provided sufficient information to show he's had nothing to do with the disappearance of his son, including taking a polygraph test on the Nancy Grace show by a FBI certified polygraph test taker. So he has passed that test that was broadcasted on the Nancy Grace show. And while they disclosed some information that Seth didn't expect to have disclosed, the bottom line is they stated he passed his test. He's the only one that has publicly passed a polygraph test. He's the only one that's really been out, doing everything he can to find his son, including pulling people together for searches. They did water recovery searches. Of course, by the grace of God, nothing was found. It's not an enjoyable search for a father of a son that they love. Summer Wells, there's no update on Summer Wells. The last update I received on Summer Wells was that TBI pretty much has taken over the case. I know that I was heavily involved in that case, boots on the ground. We uncovered a lot. We turned a lot over to law enforcement, but it wasn't enough. Summer Wells has not been found. And unfortunately in Tennessee, it's one of those things that no matter how good their evidence is, unless they have a body, they're not charging a single person. And the one thing about Tennessee is people can disappear a body pretty quickly. So anybody that can disappear a body is not going to be held accountable if they're residing inside of Tennessee. That's just how it is. It's something that I don't like, but it's something that I've had to accept. And one of the things that I'm constantly talking about when it comes to the state of Tennessee. Do I think the state of Tennessee is a horrible state? Of course not. I'm very concerned about the children that reside inside of Tennessee, though, because it seems like every case that we have a missing child, CPS was involved. CPS is a federal agency, a state agency that receives federal dollars. That's why there's so many alphabet soups of child protective services, depending on what state. It has a different name. So it's kind of like a federal-state partnership when it comes to our children, but at the end of the day, it's not saving some of these children. As a matter of fact, I've heard on many occasions that children from good homes that have some issues are being removed, but kids in bad homes are not. It's it's something I don't quite understand. The only thing I can equate that to is overwork and underpaid type of a situation. It's not being funded properly, like many law enforcement agencies across the state of Tennessee are not properly funded and don't have the proper budget necessary for the type of work they do, protecting the citizens of their community. Our communities are all growing because we have an influx of, illegal migrants in our country. We have over 21 million illegal migrants. Why are we having a housing shortage? Because there's no rentals. Why are there no rentals? Because we have 21 million extra mouths in our country. So it's a lot of people aren't, looking at this, but at the end of the day, I don't have really any answers for Summer Wells other than it's a solvable case. Okay? It's a solvable case and we have a clear understanding of what happened. But the details of how and where are missing. And those are critical details for this case. Now, the problem is that the mom and father in that particular case are also, in my opinion, persons of interest in the disappearance of this beautiful baby girl, 5 years old, that disappeared in 2021. Now, the other side of the problem is usually you have families that are forcing the courts to deem the person deceased. And then that changes once you know that the person is deceased, then all the that's established. But the way it is right now is there's no establishment of a deceased child here. And therefore, everything is at a standstill, much like Sebastian Rogers. We have a standstill here because nobody knows where this child is. Is he deceased or is he alive? It's hard to decipher that, especially as a parent, especially as law enforcement. For many of us, for me, it seems very clear what happened. But it's just because it's clear to me doesn't mean that there's sufficient evidence to support this. The good news is, in my opinion, is we have a father that's absolutely, totally involved in the search for his son, aside from the mom and the stepfather. And this father was very much involved in his son's life, the biggest rooter on the sidelines. And his father, I believe wholeheartedly, will, no matter how hard the decision is, will always do the right thing for his son. And that's a big difference, a polar opposite of what we're dealing with in the Summer Wells case. So details are very similar. Times of the day are different. Obviously there's a lot of details that are different between Summer Wells and Sebastian Rogers. But for the most part, we've got a similar situation, at least, right? A child was with a parent, a single parent. Both of these were with their mother at the time of their disappearance. One happened in the middle of the afternoon. One happened in the middle of the night. There were Summer was out for a fun day with her mother. Sebastian was out for a fun day with his mother. So there are some identifiable similarities, and there are some identifiable differences. So we're kind of, they are, I think they're similar. We searched the wood I can tell you, Summer Wells, we searched woods for 6 months. Okay. There was somebody, because at that time it was a team of 3. It was me, Chronicles of Olivia, and JLR. And one of us or all of us would be out there in Hopkins County, Tennessee, literally every single month for I think it's over 6 months. I think it was almost 8 months. Every single month we made a trip out there and checked the hollers in the mountains of Hopkins County. When we got there, a lot of people said that, these people, well, shoot first and ask questions later, and a lot of, things to try to shake us. But when we got out there, the people were really nice and really wanted to help. And that is kind of a little bit polar opposite to Sebastian Rogers' case. We had a lot of neighbors come up to us and talk to us off the record and provide us a lot of information off the record. And those off the record comments are what we relayed to law enforcement in Hopkins County. But we found out that Hopkins County, there was a whole side of a mountain that had not been questioned by any law enforcement agency. And they had a lot of information because, like they said, the sound carries. Even on the other side of the mountain, they could hear arguments that came off the Wells property. They had a lot of information. So I'm pretty sure law enforcement went to the other side of the mountain and heard what they had to say, because they heard a lot. Both the moms left the property. That was another weird factor. They both got in their cars and left the property. I'm not sure why Candace did, because I don't see her daughter just taking off from the mountain. I mean, it's a very high mountain. It's a very dangerous mountain that's not, that has no fence. And the ledges off their property go straight down. To me, it's a little scary to have young children living there without any type of barrier to keep them from falling off the mountain. But that's exactly, hey, MAGA, it's nice to see you, my love. But that's exactly what happened. So we have some similarities and we have some differences in these cases, but the bottom line is Sebastian is still missing and Summer Wells is still missing. Summer Wells had a reward that has, if I'm not mistaken, has been disseminated and sent to nonprofits. It was over $50,000. They stopped the reward in her case, and that was a public funded reward. People sent, people like me and you sent money in for that reward and had no ability to have that money refunded. It was all turned over to a nonprofit, which I really don't agree with that at all. This right here is a $100,000 reward, and it's in part with the FBI. FBI has ponied up $50,000 toward this reward, and then after this reward was established, Dog the Bounty Hunter and his team started getting involved in this case, and they increased this reward up $50,000, making a total reward of $100,000. This is one of the largest rewards we've had in a child case in Tennessee in a very, very, very long time. So they are eager to find out any information. Now, I've heard some stuff. I don't know if you guys heard of the Lore Lodge. The Lore Lodge, he's a great content creator that really dives into these cases. He's got his thumb on the pulse when he does these cases. He dives in very, very deep. He makes heads or tails of it, and he makes it into an understandable format and explains it really, really well. And the Lore Lodge was doing another live. I think it was something Melton, but right about 17 minutes in, he gets into the conversation about Sebastian Rogers. And I am definitely going to tell people, go over to the Lore Lodge and listen to that. It was something Melton. I can't remember the girl's first name. It's not a case that I covered. And he really explains what it means to what law enforcement mean when they say there's no evidence of foul play. And if we recall, they said it both ways. There's no evidence of foul play and there's no evidence that it's not foul play. So they have to take the latter, because that, they have to prepare for the absolute worst. So they have to look at this with the lens of there being foul play. We came across an interview with Davison County Sheriff and Nick Barris that I hadn't seen in a while. It was a video, an interview, a live interview with the sheriff on February 29th, I believe. And we played it. It's about 14 minutes. And some of the commentary Nick Barris had said boded in why I really liked Nick Barris at the time. He seemed very in tune with the case and very in tune with the process. Well, he's done a 180 since then. And some people are saying that they believe it's because he's uncovered new information. And I do not believe that. Everything I've learned, there's been a lot of pressure applied in this case to make people change their tune on how they cover this case. I'm not one of those people that are going to change my tune due to pressure when covering this case. I've got a brain. I'm allowed to have my opinions, my criticism, and my commentary, and my government cannot take that away from me. Now, when you work for a news organization, which is one of the reasons why I do true crime myself, is because I don't trust mainstream media. One of the main reasons why I started my own channel and started going through all of this stuff, because I don't want somebody hindering my voice. When you work for a news organization, which I'm very familiar, my sister's a reporter, and they are required, they don't, all their stories don't make it, right? The way that they are presenting their stories don't always make it. Their producers and directors, the people, the head honchos there, may have them redraft the letter, tone it down, not say what they really mean. They have a lot of control over their reporters and news broadcasters, okay? With me, you don't. And it's very frustrating because law enforcement around this country likes to control the media and likes to control the narrative. One of the great things about social media is that power is taken away where we can get true facts and present them. I'm not hindered. I don't have somebody telling me I'm going to be fired if I run a story, right? So we provide our opinions, we provide our speculations. We have to speculate, because without speculation, how are we going to think outside the box to find answers, right? So all of this does work together, and by us talking about it, it does strum up people conversating. And when people conversate, there's new information that could be brought forward. And typically that new information is sent anonymously through, Dog's tip line. If you guys would like anonymous reporting, 833-TELL-DOG, which is 833-835, what is that? I can't read. 5364. It's small print, bear with me. But it's 833-TELL-DOG, right? 833-TELL-DOG. And so if you want to be anonymous, tell them. Tell them. Otherwise, reach out to the Memphis FBI office. I say this all the time. Listen, Sebastian was around teenagers the day before he went missing. We heard the story that his mom went and picked up a cousin, that met the aunt at, I think, BJ's. It's very unclear as much as their story is, except a 943 phone call, which is pretty specific in all the unspecific commentary and story. So, is it possible that maybe teenagers were hanging out with them, that teenagers heard parents, that, teenagers know more than we're giving them credit for? In Kylie Rodney's case, she was a young girl out in Truckee, California, that ended up going into the water with her car, and law enforcement could not find them with all the planes, the drones, the sonar. It took Adventures with Purpose coming in there. Within 15 minutes, they found her car and was able to pull her out, and unfortunately, she lost her life. She was inside the car. But one thing that we learned, because they were at a party at Prosser Lake, I can't remember the name, but I remember Prosser. And they were at this teenage party. There was some underage drinking, some substance abuse out there, or substance use, I should say, out there. But the teenage kids knew how to shut their social media down and how to shut their mouths. They held a lot of information from that night and would not tell a soul. So, to me, we know teenagers have a way of keeping quiet. So my message to any teenager that might have some information about Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers is you're getting close to college. You're getting close to college, and maybe mommy and daddy can't afford the college that you need to go to, or you're going to be saddled with a mess of debt. $100,000 is a great education for any school you want to go to. If you have any information that you overheard, that a friend told you, please come forward. Call the Memphis FBI or 833-TELL-DOG. That is the best way you can help. Now, I got to tell you, we're doing a green light campaign, and I just ordered my green lights. There are people that have already provided me their green light display for their home. And this green light is to honor Sebastian Wayne Rogers. Do you know that we have green being shown as far as Ireland right now to honor Sebastian Wayne Rogers? This is truly a worldwide case. And we need to find him. We definitely have the platform. We definitely have information. Moreover, Dog the Bounty Hunter and his team has been looking into this case. And they've been digging in pretty deep. And I got to tell you, they have a lot of the same issues that I have. They're starting to broadcast that on Nick the Hat's channel. Now, Nick the Hat has also been silenced. We're not sure when he can speak again. He's working on that. I'll get green lights too. I'm Wales, UK. Oh, thank you, Stacy. God bless you. And send your pictures to me at bullhornbetty@gmail.com. Don't have any identifiable marks, addresses, streets, or anything like that on your photos, please. I don't want to dox you or anything. I don't redact. I show what you have. And I'm going to be doing a video of all these green lights around the country and around the world. So if you'd like to participate, light it up green for Sebastian and send me those photos. Again, I'm not sure. I just got 200 feet of green light, solar green light. I don't know what I'm doing with it yet. Okay, but I'm just saying the house, the yard's going to be green. The yard's going to be green. So don't forget to send it to bullhornbetty@gmail.com. bullhornbetty@gmail.com. Green lights too in Norman, Oklahoma. Thank you. God bless you. So that's all we want to do. We want to definitely keep advocating for Sebastian Wayne Rogers. I'm not going to stop advocating. I've actually stopped a lot of my pre-shows. We go over and cover a lot of breaking news information that's going on around the world before we start on our cases. And here lately, as a display of civil disobedience, I am continuing in protest. I am continuing to cover a national news story that people want me to shut up about. Okay? Too bad, so sad. I do not kowtow to people. I do not back down too well, and I definitely do not get intimidated very often. Do I feel intimidated? Yes, but all it does is awaken something inside of me to push forward, to push back. That's just in my DNA. I am a human being that's in America. I live in the freest country in the world, and I'll be damned if somebody's going to tell me I cannot use my mouth, especially in light of my body, my choice. And the Me Too. Right? So there is that, but I will tell you, we still need to look for Sebastian Wayne Rogers, just like we still need to be on the look for Summer Wells. What happened to Summer Wells? I have no clue. But to me, it seems to me that she would have had to have been moved multiple times. That's just my opinion. Doesn't make it true. But it seems to me that she would have had to been moved several times. Too many kids are disappearing. And you know what? We've been talking about this HT thing, the trafficking. And we have a major issue here in our country that is being withheld from our country. Back in 2022, I remember everybody told me that Myrtle Beach was the HT and ST capital of our country. And so I went out there, and there was only, I think, a total of 19 cases that weren't proven yet. And while 19 cases are a lot, I was expecting it to be in the hundreds based on how people were explaining it to me. Then it dawned on me that we're not reporting this properly in this country. There's a lot of children missing. There's a lot of allegations of HT and ST related to these children, especially that are running away from home in foster care and other places. I read stories on a daily that just break my heart. So this is a problem in our country that our government is not willing to acknowledge just yet. As a matter of fact, many of you guys know there was a county, a city in Tennessee that was raided by TBI. And I believe that was politically motivated. And this was a law enforcement body that was actually investigating that very thing associated with some of the politicians. So he was obviously silenced in Tennessee, being a law enforcement agent. And not only was his office raided, his private home was also raided by TBI. Talk about intrusion. I don't want to dog because I don't know the details of that particular case, but it makes me wonder, especially in light of how I was treated in Sumner County and what happened to me on a bunch of claims that are baseless, that are lies. So I don't know what's going on in Tennessee, but to me, it seems like they're not following Tennessee law. And I'm talking about the law enforcement agents and politicians in that state. They're not following their own law. And people's freedom is being in jeopardy because of it. So I have a lot of concern with the state of Tennessee. And so not only am I going to be covering true crime, but I'm also going to be politically active in the state of Tennessee because I see some serious problems. And I'm not one of these people that sit and complain about problems without putting something forth to solve that problem. So I'm not sure how I'm going to be handling all this once this stuff is all said and done. But I can definitely say that I will be reaching out to politicians all over the state, high-ranking politicians all over the state, for meetings to discuss the state of affairs in Tennessee. Again, it's not going to be happening right now. We're in an election season. I want to wait until the elections are done and over with to see who the decision makers are in the state once everything's said and done, because it's not just local, right? I'm looking for their state Congress, governors, and things of that nature, and U.S. senators and House representatives, and those are the people that I need to see and be in front of. So once the election is over, I'll be identifying which politicians I need to be meeting with, and I will be meeting out there and going and meeting those politicians and discussing some much needed plans and strategy that the state of Tennessee probably needs to start looking or implementing in their state. We'll see how it all goes. Nothing's set in stone yet. But that is going to be my next goal. In the state of Florida, we just do things different, and I don't want to criticize any state, but when you start having people disappearing and you don't do any, these kids just keep disappearing and nobody's held accountable, is getting under my skin, along with when people are critical, they go to jail. That's a huge problem for me, huge red flags, and we're going to figure out how to get to the bottom of it and what we can do in the state of Tennessee to make sure it's safe for everybody that lives there. Because I keep thinking, if they did this to me, how many people live in that county that they've done this to that do not have the ability or the platform to expose what happened? So if it happened to me, I can guarantee it's happened many times before me. And that really, really pisses me off. So again, I'm not one that sits and complains about a problem without finding solutions to that problem. So I will be working very hard to find solutions to the problems that I experienced. Can I look into a case live in Oklahoma? I don't know. You say if there's any cases you'd like me to take a look at, not that I can cover a lot of cases. I usually do 1 or 2 cases at a time. Is to send the information over to bullhornbetty@gmail.com. Now, we do have a Facebook group. It's Bullhorn Betty True Crime Facebook group. It is a private group that has, I think, like 24 or 2,500 people. Maybe it might have more. It might have 3,000. I don't know. But if you'd like to go there, you can always, once you're approved on that platform, you can always post missing persons in that group. That will be seen by a lot of people. So I know a lot of people send me stuff. Well, what I end up doing is just putting it on that Facebook group. So if you're a member there, you can go ahead and just upload it directly to that Facebook group as well. Now, if it's a case that you really want me to kind of dive into a lot deeper, I can do that very limitedly while I'm covering this, because this case is really taking a lot of my time away from me. Although we do have a lot of trials coming up. Leilani Simon is coming up. We got in 2025 Brian Koberger. We got Alex Murdaugh's appeal that's going to the South Carolina Supreme Court. We've got a lot of things that are in the hopper of actual case activity, and we may have to, cover those new revelations, because those are cases that we've dived into heavily, much like the Sebastian Rogers case. And so we're having updates on these cases, and they're all kind of happening, around the same time. So we really need to get focused and get a plan together so we can monitor that and watch that. But if there's any other cases, I always am looking for cases to help with. But right now, again, Sebastian Rogers is taking a lot from me. We don't want to forget about Layla Santinello. Layla Santinello was a beautiful 20-year-old that disappeared from Kingsport, Tennessee. Many people hear Kingsport and say, why does that sound familiar? Because it was also associated with, that area was associated with Summer Wells' case. Summer Wells spent most of her day that she disappeared in Kingsport at the water hole. Well, another young lady disappeared, and she was at the AmeriCorps Hotel, not the best hotel to be at. But there was some things going on with her. She appeared to be frantic and ran out into the woods. She resurfaced the next morning and lo and behold disappeared shortly thereafter and has not been seen or heard from since. Her mother has been searching tirelessly for her for over a year. And any information that you have about Layla Santinello or those that may be involved in her disappearance, we're going to ask you to reach out to Kingsport Police, I think, is the one handling it. It might be the county that's handling, but I'm pretty sure it's Kingsport Police Department that's handling that. So reach out to that. I'm hopeful to have Jen on a show here in the near future just to give us an update on the case, because we haven't touched it in a while, and I think people need to hear from the mom on the YouTube platform. I know she's very heavy over here on TikTok. So all right, guys, with that being said, that's really all I have. If you've got any information, please reach out to the Memphis FBI office, or reach out to DOG at 833-TELL-DOG. Don't forget to be fearless. If you see something, say something. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And until next time, please be safe, but more importantly, please be kind to one another. God bless.